Zach and Taylor here again. Wanted to chat about something I think is pretty cool with our industry.
Yep.
I wanted to talk about how you actually can get started in this business of real estate investing with absolutely no money. You can learn this business as you make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get to a point where you have several different exit strategies, right?
Right.
Which is ultimately what most people are kind of looking at this for. Like a lot of people, they'll get into YouTube University and they'll look at people buying rentals. They'll look at people who are doing multifamily. They'll look at people who are fixing flipping. And then they're not really looking at the wholesaling side yet because they're talking about real estate investing, right? But here's one thing that I wanted to kind of go into today, which is I think wholesaling is actually a prerequisite because the people that lose money on a flip, let's just talk about flipping, for example, right? The most important thing you can do on a flip is buy it correct.
Mm-hmm.
The buy has to be right. You have to estimate ARV correct. You have to actually know what the closing costs on the back end are going to be. You actually have to know what the hard money costs and holding costs are going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably need to make enough money to take the risk, and you better assume the rehab correct, or else you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you look at a lot of people that get started, they actually have the capital, they have the money.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go in, they start flipping, and they're losing money, and they're in trouble. And then they say that this doesn't work and all these other things. The reason I think that wholesaling is a prerequisite is if you're doing a lot of wholesale deals, there's two things you understand really well. Number one, you know what a deal looks like and where that buy number needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are taking it off your hands. They're buying it. They're jumping on it. It makes sense, right? Number two, you get that the profit margins they have to make, and you can break down the numbers just as well as they can. That is where, once you get to that point, you don't quit wholesaling because it's an exit strategy, right?
Right.
Who cares what anyone thinks? It's an exit strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to let you go into your side of this, but I think wholesaling is truly just a prerequisite to get into other avenues. I really think like multifamily and some of these other things like later on are a little bit more advanced. Like you really need to have like some capital set aside in case stuff goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We've had horror stories in our own business where that's been a nightmare.
Right.
And there's just like progressions, but you don't need to be a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? Actually,
Right.
I think your understanding of what a deal looks like, how you can make money, different ways to. Actually, another thing you'll learn in wholesaling is different ways to finance it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do things differently, man. Like there's people that buy straight cash. There's people that bring in a partner and do that. There's people that get literally 100% finance through a lender because they've done some with them. There's people that bring in someone on a second position and cover the difference. Like there's literally a bunch of different ways, and we learned all that through wholesaling. So,
Yeah.
do you agree with me on that? You think probably there's something else that people should do, or no?
Yeah, no, it definitely a prerequisite for sure. And like I was just thinking, like how many times when we're working with another wholesaler who's new, they lock something up at a price that's just not going to work for anybody. And if
Right.
that was a flip, they would have lost 20 grand, 30 grand, sometimes even more. You may not even sell the house. So if
Yeah.
you're just jumping into the flipping or just jumping into the buying and you're buying it wrong, you're going to lose. You're going to fall out of the industry. And that's why you see people saying real estate doesn't work. So,
And wholesalers, by the way, have no problem with you buying wrong as a flip.
right,
They're hoping you do when they overprice it.
right.
That you got to protect yourself by knowing this stuff.
Absolutely. So you need to make sure that the numbers work. And wholesaling, once you've done a lot of deals like we've done, now we've gone into what's the next step. Well, we've partnered, we've lent money on
Yep.
other deals that, and we followed up on that flip. We checked through, what are they doing? Like, what's the process? We know that now. So we've partnered on flips. We've done our own. We're working on our own, and now we're transitioning into that. But it wasn't until we've did over 40 deals in wholesale before we did any of that.
Yeah.
So
there's a progression, right? You don't jump in. And here's the thing: think about the reason why you're getting into this. Everyone, just for a minute, you're getting into this because you either want the time freedom, the finances, or all the above, right? Maybe you just love it; it's fun. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you're wholesaling, you're getting the time freedom. You're definitely getting the finances. you're banking up cash, your understanding of this business goes up tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just realize, oh my God, like now I'm like, dude, I could make money lending EMD. I
Mm-hmm.
could make money in second position.
Yeah.
I could do all these different things in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
but it started with my understanding of wholesaling.
Yeah. And another way you guys can, like, let's say you're wanting to get into real estate or it's exciting to you, but you don't necessarily want to like work it or like really like get into the trenches of it. Another way that you can get participate in deals is by lending on deals with an experienced flipper, somebody that's flipping. They do all the work, and maybe you lend some money and you get a flat 20% on your money, which is way better than what you'll put, with the stock market and all of that. That's another way that we've seen people, and that's a great way to learn as well. So if you partner up with somebody who's doing flips and lend them the money to fix it up or whatever, that's a great way to earn some money, learn, and it's not your risk because you're working with somebody who is very well established, and they do what they know what they're doing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can get involved in a transaction. That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ways you can get started, learn this, and really find out what you love. But I think the thing with wholesaling that people don't like is that you have to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get a little uncomfortable and have conversations with people that kind of want too much, right? And explain why it's less. You have to go through the understanding of the business, and there's going to be times where it's really tough. I get that. But if you can make it through that, by the time you start flipping houses, I mean, you're just way ahead of the curve, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're making way more money. You got way more options. You're not overly picky. You're not like grabbing things you shouldn't grab. So there's a lot of ways to get involved, guys. What we want to do every single week is just give you value, things you guys can implement and utilize, and reach out to us if you ever have any questions. If you ever have anything you need help working on, we can help you start to finish with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here for you guys. Keep working, and we'll see you at the top.